Hello, ladies and gentlemen, what is up? My name is Bladezz, and I'm here with a Guild Wars 2 commentary, and we're going to be talking today about the new patch that's been released on the, the 14th? Yes, hold on, let me check this. Yes, no, the 15th, which is the big feature pack 2014 that Guild Wars has released. And yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about all the different stuff that they've added. It's a huge patch, one of the biggest, actually the biggest of the year in my opinion. They've done a lot of different things, and it's a very different game now, and maybe you will if you've quit, maybe you'll come back from it just to check out the patch or to stay for a while. So yeah, we have a little bit of time to talk about that. Before we get in though, the background footage is just some Twilight Arbor, I think path up, the upward path on Twilight Arbor, and afterwards I go outside of the map and just look at some of the really cool stuff that's out there, because Twilight Arbor, you really don't, when you're just doing these runs, you really don't get to see a lot of what it has to offer. But if you take a little pathway out of it, actually no, we're going forward, sorry, now that I think about it. If you take these little paths and get outside the map, you can see some really awesome stuff. It's super cool. It really is, because you get to see these like areas, and you get to see an aerial view of like a lot of different stuff. Anyway, you'll have to watch out for that. It's pretty fun. Alright, so first let's talk about, I guess we'll talk about the biggest thing there is to offer, and that is the wardrobe. So if you guys are unfamiliar, and you're just now watching this video, there has been a change to the way you apply skins and looks to your armor and weapons, and this comes with the new wardrobe update. So now, essentially what happens is every time you get a new piece of armor, you can then, if you equip that armor, you will unlock that skin in a wardrobe that you can then access in your HUD. So you open your little equipment panel. There's now 3 different options for your equipment. There's the dye options, there's your equipment, and then your wardrobe. So the way the wardrobe functions is it allows you to pick up a bunch of different skins from items, and say I was building a new Zerker set for my warrior. I would go and buy them on the trading post, and then I could take those items, just the Draconic set, and use the wardrobe to change the look of them to whatever I wanted without using these transmutation stones, which used to destroy items. So it won't destroy any items, it will just apply the look of whatever skin you want to whatever piece of armor you want. And that's really awesome, because we've wanted this for a while. Better late than never for sure. And I've been messing around with it. They did a very good job. It tells you whenever you've unlocked a new skin, so you now know you've unlocked it. And it tells you on the item itself, if you're like gonna buy one, that you already have the skin unlocked, or if you don't have the skin unlocked. They did a very nice job of making it user-friendly and very informative at the same time. It's a very good process that they took. And the other thing is that all those transmutation crystals, you may be thinking, well, okay, what's the use of them now if we're not going to use them anymore? 3 of those transmutation crystals will be turned into 1 charge. So this wardrobe, every time you change the skin of an item, it uses up 1 charge. Now, 3 of those transmutation crystals that you get from map completion, like if you complete an area, you get, I think, 3 of them per area completion. You will now be able to take those 3 and use them and convert them 3 to 1 to 1 charge. So if you get 3 of those transmutation crystals, you now have 1 charge, and so on and so forth. If you bought, however, those upgraded ones, I can't remember what they're called, transmutation stones? I think one's crystals, one's stones. The more expensive ones that can be used to change level 80 gear, that could only be bought by the gem store or lion chests, those are 1-to-1 transfers. So every one of those you will get one of those charges for your wardrobe, which is pretty cool. And they also did, they gave everyone your PvP rank. So if you say your rank, I don't know, 23, you will have automatically gained 23 charges just for being that rank. And then you can just additionally, since most of us have a bunch of these transmutation crystals lying around because we didn't really have a use for it once you hit max cap, those you can now turn into transmutations, or sorry, the charges for your wardrobe, which is really good because I personally had, I think, I don't know, somewhere close to like 60 or so of these transmutation stones, and I just had no use for them. So I just used them all up and got a bunch of charges out of it that I can now use for whatever I want. So I think that pretty much wraps up the wardrobe. Yeah, there's if you want to look, you can also, there's a new tab, right? There's a new tab in your bank for your wardrobes that shows you all the available skins in the game, and then allows you to see which skins you have, which you're missing. Which, if you're like me and want to feel like bad about the skins that you have, you can like look at those and see how there's like so many empty and how much progress you have to go. And that's a lot of work getting all those skins, and I'm sure people will be working at it for quite some time before we see some people with all the skins in the game. All right, little side notes. Account bound things. Okay, so let's go on to account bound stuff. So a lot of stuff has been changed to account bound. So legendaries are one of them. So all legendary items are now account bound, which is pretty cool. Although I think it's not that useful. I mean, I personally don't have one, so I can't say. But if you run, maybe if you run something like sword that's used in a lot of different classes or whatever, maybe you'd want to, I can understand wanting your legendary to be like that. But I've never had it, so I can't really say much about that. Ascended gear is now legendary as well. Ascended gear is also now transferable. It's account bound now, as well as the legendaries. And, which is good for me, I'm happy about this next one, World v World experience is account bound, which is really awesome. We've been wanting that for quite some time as well, and they finally brought it to us. The good thing was, the good thing was that the World v World experience, I saw this coming, and they basically took your highest World v World ranked character and then made that person's rank the rank for your account. And so I saw this sort of coming. I figured that they would do something like that, so I farmed a bit and got my rank up in World v World just so that it would then transfer to account bound. So that's pretty cool. Next, dyes are now also account bound. So they got a bunch of dyes. Every dye you have, right? If you're like me, and you got Celestial and Abyss and all that stuff, now you can use it on your level 1 characters or whatever and make them look cool and, have your dyes worked out that way. They also, though, if you had multiple account dyes, so say you had Abyss on 2 different characters, what they would do is they gave you, when you logged in, unidentified dyes for each redundant dye that you had in your inventory. So like say you had 3, and say you had 8 characters and you had Celestial dye on all 8 of them, you would get 8 of these unidentified dyes, which is pretty cool. Although you could have, before the patch went live, you could have bought a whole bunch of really low cheap dyes, use them all on all your different characters, and then wound up with stacks and stacks of these different, unidentified dyes, which I noticed definitely people did, and I probably should have done it as well, but I didn't. Anyway, so that is that on that. So next, there's so much stuff. Okay, so now traits. traits are free to reset, and you can reset them anywhere in the world. Along with your equipment can be repaired, not anywhere in the world, but it can be repaired for free. Along with traits, they added a new Grand Mastery trait to every trait line for every class. So if you do the calculations, that's 5 new Grandmaster traits per class, 1 in each of the lines. I looked at some of them for the warrior. Some of them look, alright and interesting, like I would definitely use them, but nothing monumentous, nothing huge at least for what I was looking for in warrior. And these in PvE, if you want to unlock these, they now introduced a system that was a lot like the Guild Wars system, the Guild Wars 1 system, where you would get an elite skill by capturing it from another person. So like if you killed this boss, you would be able to capture his elite. And that was a pretty cool system, I thought, in Guild Wars 1, because it allowed you to do stuff like, you would get to see parts of the map that you never really would have saw otherwise, and it makes it sort of more meaningful when you get a trait, rather than just having them all at once. Some people, I'm sure, are going to be annoyed with that and would have rather had them just be able to get them from level 1, all of them. But that's how they did it, and I, for one, actually like it. Alright. So, moving on. Sigils and runes have been balanced. If you didn't know earlier, the two-handed weapons, you would only get 1 sigil on, which was pretty lame, because it's kind of a bit of a imbalanced thing for dual wielding as opposed to using a two-handed weapon. But they've now, with this patch, decided to give the ability to use 2 sigils per two-handed item. So you can have 2 sigils on your greatsword instead of just the 1, which is good, very good. No complaints there. They also balanced a lot of the sigils to make, because there were some really weird, really weird things with sigils. It was a very, very weird sort of thing going on. It used to be there would be sigils that didn't stack with each other because they had like internal cooldowns that were shared. So you could only ever proc 1. That was like, say if you had the Flame Burst, the Sigil of Fire, and the Sigil of Air, the Lightning Strike one and the Flame Burst one, only one of them would like proc at a time. So it was like, it was a really arbitrary thing too. I'm not sure how it decided like which one would go off and which one would not, but it would be only one that would go off at a time. And so they've sort of, I believe, changed that, and now have allowed it to be both of them activate, so you're not wasting it by getting both of those. So that's good. They also, as far as runes, made the set, they made it more powerful to go 6 into a set. So that means like people would used to usually only go maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 runes into a set, and then get another 2 or 3 runes for the last part. They're making that 6th benefit for a lot of runes a lot more powerful. For instance, strength. This runes of strength, the 6th is amazing. It's incredible. Like, really, they've jumped in price colossally because of it. They're like now 6 gold a piece. But the 6th, if you get 6 runes of it, it's incredible. Your damage while under might for the 6th part is 7% boost. A 7% boost while under the effects of might. And not to mention the fact that you're boosting your damage because you have might and the rune's focused around might already. I mean, it's just crazy. So that's another thing with the runes. They're making those much more powerful. And they changed some other runes. They nerfed the condition removal runes. Like Lisa runes got nerfed, which I'm kind of upset about because I used to run Lisa runes, and I'm pretty sure I'll swap off them now to something else, something better. But we'll see. Alright, so moving on. We have the Mega Server. So there's a lot of stuff in this feature pack. So the mega server, what's this mean? It used to be that whenever you would zone somewhere, you would zone into whatever your server is. So I'm Sanctum of Rawl. So if I zoned to Gendaran Fields, I would zone into the Sanctum of Rawl version of Gendaran Fields. And if there were too many people, I'd go into an overflow. But still an overflow of Sanctum of Rawl. Now, what they're doing is they're no longer having it based on your... I mean, your homeworld has some effect on it. But essentially what they're doing is they're having, you know, all the people who are online in Gendaran Fields, for instance. It used to be, back before the patch and everything, it used to be like if you were going around in an area, you would just like see no one. You know, in certain areas of the map, it would just be completely empty and you would be the only person there. And it sort of left the game a bit lacking. It made it feel really, what's the word? Really sparse and really like uninhabited. Even though that's not necessarily true, it's just the people are concentrated more in the higher level areas now that the game has been out for quite some time. So they've decided to move forward with this mega server, which means that basically it will preferentially put you in a server with other people. So say, you know, Gendaran Fields, if there's only like 3 people across all the servers playing, those 3 people will all be in the same instance of Gendaran Fields, which is really, really good because that's something the game desperately needed. I think people who are new to the game might have been really immediately turned off if they didn't play from launch, because you go in to an area and it would just be completely vacant, completely void of any sort of people doing anything, you know, important, and that really takes the wind out of your sails when you're, you know, buying this MMO that sold, you know, millions of copies at launch, to just see it's such a at a weak point. But it's really not. It was just sort of falsely given that sort of idea. Anyway, so that's the mega server. Along with that, they're also having it to where, say if I am in a guild and we're all zoning together into, let's say, if we're all going to go to Ascalon Fields, I believe, and we want to do Ascalonian Catacombs, it will now preferentially put us in the same instance as our guildmates, as other guildmates in that area, or other friends in that area. Which is really good, and from what I've seen, it works pretty well. It's kind of still a little off by my opinions, but it works pretty well. You can also always just right-click now on a person in your party or on friends list and say join them, and it will put you into their instance regardless of what server you guys are on or whatever, which is very cool. All this being said, though, this is only affecting PvP, or sorry, PvE. It's not affecting PvP or World v World, so it's not going to combine all the servers in World v World and mash them all together or anything like that. This is just for PvE in order to make it a bigger community behind it. Okay, I think I've covered most of the big stuff, and there's a lot more minor patches. For instance, they've nerfed champion farming. They've nerfed dungeons a tiny bit. Now if you say I run Path 1 COF twice in one day, you no longer gain those little incremental chests for each like section of the dungeon that you complete. You only gain those once per day, per path, which is kind of a bit annoying. You know, I won't complain too much because I think the pros vastly outweigh the cons, but that's a little bit of an annoyance. And lastly, champion farming, like I said, is getting nerfed a bit. I don't really know if it needed it, but that's ArenaNet decided to do that, and so yeah, that's pretty much it. One more thing, really quick, back to the traits. Now, if you get a character, you will no longer be given all the traits. I'm not sure if I said this. You will no longer be given all the traits at level 1. You will. Oh yeah, I talked about this. Sorry. Whoops. Sorry, I cut this. I'm recording at 2 different points because I got interrupted earlier. So this is. Sorry if I repeated some stuff. Anyway, that's most of the feature pack stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this lengthy video. This is the longest video I think I've ever made. But I thoroughly enjoyed making it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it. So, till next time, peace out, guys. Take care.